Good morning. So this is lesson 33. Oh shoot. Hold on. What is it? Yeah. Lesson 33 of A Course in Miracles. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. Not the way I've always been doing it, perhaps. But there's another way. I don't know what that way is. It doesn't tell us yet. But there is another way. So it's like this declaration of, yep, there's another way. So today or yesterday's practice of this lesson was just all about telling myself that over and over and over. And every time some uncomfortable thought came up, I sat with it and would say, there's another way of looking at this situation. There's another way of looking at this. I don't know what it is, but just recognize that it doesn't have to be maybe this uncomfortable, this painful. So that's like what this lesson was all about, was just the practice of it. Not knowing the way that I'm ultimately going to start looking at things. But there is another way, and it's not the way that's been bringing me so much discomfort my whole life through various situations. And so I won't name all the things I practiced, but they were things that have been making me very angsty in life over and over and over. It's very high tide right now. The water's coming up above my shorts. Flying. So it did bring me a sense of comfort in even just saying the words. It was weird. I guess I didn't expect that. By just doing the practice, you start to convince yourself. I truly believe there is another way of looking at everything. And so my initial way of looking at something is the way that has brought me some angst and discomfort. So by saying, there's another way, that just means instantly I don't have to feel that much angst or discomfort because there's a different way. I don't know what it is yet, but when I start to believe it, it already takes away some of the pain. So I like that. And it still goes back to like, my way is not the best way. Obviously. It's just all of these practices, especially this one, I guess, it's like instilling that sense of humility over and over and over. Like, get over yourself. You don't have all the answers. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to know your way out of something. You're not supposed to know the best way to approach something, like into something, out of something, through something. Your way is not the best way. How could it be? You're human. So I just love that reminder. Apparently I need it a lot, over and over and over. Like, yeah, I'm just a little human. Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh, it's heavy. Somebody already got the good parts. So, yeah, here's another little piece of nature. I love those birds. They're giant. And they just ride on the water like little boats. They just go up and down, up and down. So anyway, I really liked this lesson. Even though I didn't understand like where we're going with it, what the right or best way is. That word is starting to lose all meaning. Like the right way, the wrong way, the best way, the worst way. These extremes that we humans love to flow between. Crash up against the extremes. It hurts, doesn't it? Hurt, don't it? So yeah, there's just another way of looking at the world. There's another way of looking at this situation, whatever I'm dealing with. And it instantly brought a sense of calm, peace, breath. I think it's time to turn around and go the other way. So yeah, I guess that's all I have for this lesson. It's a shorty but goodie. Just know that I did practice it with very specific situations that I probably don't want to talk about yet. Maybe I will someday. But I'm releasing a lot of attachment to what has been my way of dealing with these situations. Like over and over and over, release, release, release. Surrender, surrender, surrender. Like over and over. And I feel it leaving me in a place of calm, serenity. And still, the situation hasn't changed. The reality of the situation hasn't changed. But something inside me has started to shift. And ultimately, that's just what I've been wanting. I know the situations will work themselves out if I just get out of the way and stop adding to the problem and surrender and let something higher than myself work its magic. I've seen it countless times in my life. Why would these situations be any different? They just have happened to hold the biggest control over me. I've let them. I like resisting, like thinking I've got to figure it out, having so much shame around the situations I put myself in. Like, and when I reflected on it, I'm like, I thought, oh my God, it's because I feel unworthy of love. It all boiled down to that. I'll just cut to the chase. Felt unworthy of love. Unlovable. That was underneath all of it. All the shame, guilt. Like, I don't want anybody to see me in this situation. Whatever all of that is, all these different situations had the same underlying source of shame. And like fear of like being unloved. Like, what is that? We're born with maximum love. It never is taken away from us. We're always 100% maximum worthy of it. So what is that? What is this human thing where we're like, I'm not worthy? Oh, what also reminded me was that we came up to my knees. What also reminded me of it was a song I was listening to this morning. I think it must have been in Jewel's Pieces of You album. I reflected in this in my audio journal this morning. Long story short, it led me to listening to the entire album, Pieces of You, this morning. And I think one of the songs in there said something about, she's so poetic, I'm not going to do it justice. I don't want to look it up because it'll stop my recording. But basically, as humans, we feel like just being born is a sin. Isn't that crazy? Like, we hold so much shame that goes, we could trace it back to just being born. And if you want to get really metaphysical about it, nothing we even did. And it's just a constant coming home to ourselves to remember that we're all worthy of love. We were born of love. What is sin anyway? What is that? It means different things for different people. I guess for me it means like all this shame, and not wanting to be seen because I don't feel worthy of life, worthy of this life. Oh, that hits hard. And I think like having to prove over and over again that I'm worthy to live this life by like, I gotta squeeze every ounce out of it. Like I reflected on that yesterday. There's some good parts of that. And then maybe the bad parts are like the reason I'm doing it is like for people like who haven't been able to live their fullest life, it's like I gotta prove that my life is worth living. I gotta live it to the fullest. Whatever that means, even if it's void of like meaning. You know, like all these things about what a fulfilled life is. So anyway, see, there's like, don't listen to me, I'm talking to myself. When I turned around, they smiled like, I don't mean to listen in on you. Oh, I don't really, oh, look away, there are two dogs who should have got a room. They like each other. Oh my gosh, that was funny. It's like, I was just getting ready to say, don't look at me, and then it was like, the dogs are like, don't look at us. Just kidding, they're dogs, they don't care. They're like, this is nature, I'm a dog. And you know what, I'm human. I'm gonna have shame that I need to work through and release. It's part of being human, isn't it? And a lot of and all the human shame, a lot of it does boil down in everything I read and heard and witnessed in myself and in others is like the shame of just being alive. Isn't that weird? The shame of like, I'm not worthy of the love you're giving me. I said that in my reflection yesterday about my gratitude for Matt, my husband. I didn't feel worthy of his love. He is such a special person, so pure, so innocent in so many ways. And I was like, oh my God, I am not innocent. I am not pure. I feel so much shame around being the opposite of him that I didn't feel worthy of his love for the longest time. And he probably thinks that's silly. He's told me that, not making me feel silly, but he's told me that's not true so many times. I know it's not true, but nothing's going to convince my inner wounded self that it's not true, no matter what words are said. So I guess to tie it all back together, there's another way of looking at all of that. There is another way of looking at things. Even when I feel like I've gotten to the truth of something, like the source of shame, which is so huge, it's such a huge topic, right? It's such like fundamental to the human experience. Even when I've gotten all the way back to the root of it, there's still another way to look at it, isn't there? What if I'm calling it shame and it's something else? What if I'm calling it unworthiness and it's something else? I have to be open to that possibility that these are just stories I tell myself. I don't know. And each of our journeys is so unique. Each of our understandings of this life we're living is so unique that I treat things as useful until they're no longer useful. If it's useful for me to heal this idea called shame and unworthiness, I'm going to heal it until it's no longer useful. And then maybe another layer will be unlocked. Maybe another dimension of this will be unlocked for my understanding. And then I'll feel like, oh, let's look at that closer. So I have to take things in the now, what they mean to me in my journey right now. So I had to traverse this crazy pile of rocks back there. Left my bare feet. So anyway, there's so many people. I don't even really care who sees me talk to myself. The number of smiles I get from it, because people are probably like, yeah, girl, you go. I know what you're doing. This water just came up to my thighs. Now my shorts are drenched. That's okay, they're board shorts. They are for the water. So, there's some more. Is it getting higher tide? I thought we were at max high tide already. Apparently not. I'm sorry for the close-up. I feel like when I pass people, I'm like, ooh, don't look at me. So, I've already seen a lot of students out here this morning doing their exercise before class. They have an exam this morning. So it's good to see that they're still taking care of themselves despite all the studying. I remember those days. It was a lot. Oh, here, let's look at the sun. Aww, I wish I could paint that. I'm painting it with my mind. The silhouette of that person right there. I don't know if they'd appreciate that, but isn't it weird the things people never know about themselves? Like, that was a whole thing. That was a whole thing. They'll never know. And I wonder how many things like I'm in, I'll never know about. I've tripped out about this for years. Like, I have written about it. I have wrote poems about it. This idea of how many lives we actually lead. And I guess it's all related to this idea of like, there's another way of looking at the world. Yeah, there's like there's 8 billion angles. And then some. For each and every one of our lives. Isn't that wild? Like, I am in the background of so many photos, I'm sure. So are you. Wherever you've traveled. Or if you've been at home and you're in a touristy city, you've been in a lot of you've photobombed things unintentionally. And then it goes on somebody's wall. Or they share it on social media. And your visage is out there. And people are like, oh my God, look at that person in the background. They don't even know they're there. And now they're up in this art gallery, perhaps. And other people are having thoughts about them. Like, what's that background person doing? What are they thinking about? Look at that funny face they're making. And that's you in a snapshot of the tiniest amount of time measurement in time. That was you. And you have no idea. Oh, I was going to stop this 13 minutes ago. You never know where we're going to end up, do you? I don't. This is another way of looking at the world. And I love to look at it in pretty trippy ways. This life is so weird and wonderful. And tragic. Here we go. I think we'll just end it there. Have a beautifully weird week. Bye.